We are deeply saddened by the passing of His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the United Arab Emirates. We extend our heartfelt condolences to the royal family and people of the UAE. May his soul rest in peace. Let us take a moment to pause and honor His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan with 2 minutes of silence. May I request everyone to please raise. Thank you very much. As they say, life goes on. Let us begin our today's session. We all know VUCA, right? What is VUCA? Anyone with first letter of V? Second? Third? Sir, बाकियों को भी. Fourth? Very good. V stands for volatility, and market is volatile. U stands for uncertainty. Our future is uncertain. C for complexities. We can see life is full of complexities. And A for ambiguity. We are unfamiliar with the changes happening around us, which creates ambiguity. And nowadays, VUCA is part of our life. The most important aspect, and it impacts the career as well. The most important aspect of career growth is to grab the opportunities. And at times, even after getting an opportunity, we are not able to take advantage. For example, Ministry of Economy has released a public consultation document. And our chapter chairman, C. Anurag Chaturvedi, came up with innovative idea. Then why don't we submit as a professional body? So overnight we created a form. We released it to the members. We had a Zoom meeting. But you know how many responses we got? Less than 40. So it shows that we are not able to take the advantage of that opportunity. I believe that if an opportunity exists, pick it up now, as they may not be there tomorrow. Take advantage of it, and of course, legitimate advantage. Similarly, when it happens to our career path, generally the impression of thoughts process we carry that we are now professionals. A chartered accountant, our life is set. And what we need, a good or well secured job or a business with good revenue and number of clients. What we think generally, CA हो गई, बढ़िया सी एक जॉब लग जाए, काम धंधा सेट हो जाए, या फिर शादी हो जाए, बस लाइफ सेट है. No, life doesn't end here. In today's VUCA world, we all need a career path, which is essential to prepare our career, our future. Now the big question is, how to prepare a career path? What we should do to prepare it. And for that, today we have with us our learned speakers with realistic experiences. Guest speaker, Mr. Asutosh Shanna, Mr. Ian Guglionotti, Ms. Valentina and Ms. Fatima bin Musa Al-Guni, Chairman C. Anurag Chaturvedi, fellow members, seniors in the profession, past chairmen, friends, sponsors, and my colleagues in the managing committee, a very warm good morning to all of you. On behalf of the managing committee, I, Manoj Agrawal, Secretary of Dubai chapter, welcome each one of you to today's hybrid session, Career Preparations. I express my sincere gratitude to today's speakers for accepting our invitation. I also thank each one of you for your active participation in all our sessions being held under the able leadership of C. Anurag Chaturvedi. A big round of applause for the speakers and for all of us. Thank you. We all need a plan for our future. Why we need it? It is to take care of our parents, our families, and to take care of our generations to come. Planning for our career is the key to all these. Career plan provides much needed motivation and guidance towards our planning for the whole life. As much as we may want it, our career path is not going to be a straight line. Definitely, ups and downs will be there. A career plan will help us stay motivated during all twists and turns our career path throw at us. To start with, May I now request everyone to please rise for the UAE and Indian national anthems and request technical team to play the same.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you very much. Please take your seats. It is always essential to recognize the one who are always with us, our sponsors. Thanks to our title sponsors, Saudi German Health, principal sponsors, Pan Emirates, AGMC, Tele, Lulu, and IFCO, platinum sponsors, Emirates Chartered Accountant Group, WMS and UHY James, FMCG partner Aktia, media partner Khalis Times, institutional partners, Delhi Private School, and banking partner, Bank of Baroda. Let us appreciate our sponsors with a big round of applause. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure that there will be many key takeaways for each of us in today's session. Today, we have our learned speakers who will share how career planning gives us a roadmap to our future, which outlines how we are going to get from now to the future, to our ultimate career goal. By keeping an end goal in mind, how we will be able to identify the actions required to achieve our goal. With the COVID-19 pandemic, we have witnessed a substantial turnaround in historical and traditional opportunities, and to share career trends of the future in our profession, today we have with us our speaker, Mr. Ashutosh Sinha. And to introduce Mr. Ashutosh Sinha, I would like to invite our Vice Chairman, C. Harikishan Rakawat, to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Topic of our today's event is career preparation, which is the brainchild of our chairman, C. Anurag Chaturvedi. Thank you very much, Chairman. I will just share my practical experience or maybe viewpoint, and I will start in reverse order from the last speaker, Miss Valentina, and the topic, how to dress to impress. This is a very interesting topic. Actually, I was in Milan last year, and I was walking on the streets, and I found that forget about the youngster, even the old people, like 80, 90 years of age, they were so well dressed from top to bottom, you can really feel very good. And they were so happy about it. I mean, I was amazed. And today we have got Italian designer. So she is going to share her experience, and she will give us many more tips how to dress to impress. And our second speaker, Mr. Ian from Nadia Global, he is going to share his expert knowledge on common mistakes made by job seekers. By the way, we always use the word resume and CV. Can you tell me what is the difference between resume and CV? Anyone? In fact, even I was not knowing yesterday, I was just Googling and I found that resume is actually one-page document where you can highlight all your skills and experiences at a glance. Any employer, they can review at a glance. And CV is actually detailed like 3-4 pages of document where you can further detail your experience, your skill set, and your achievements as well. So what I have done, I have prepared my CV or whatever, resume plus CV. So in one page, you will find all the skill experiences, and in 4 pages, I have detailed out my experiences and achievements as well. So this is a good, at a glance, any job employer, actually they can review your CV at a glance, and you can get an opportunity. So, and in fact, in Canada and USA, this resume and CV, these are the words which are being used there, not in the Middle East. I never heard about it. And at the end of the day, you guys have to, we are a product, so we have to sell ourselves. And so I would always recommend you to prepare your CV in line with the criteria and requirement of every job. This is what I was doing, and I was getting a call from everywhere. And this is my experience, which I shared with you. Now our first speaker, Mr. Ashutosh Sinha, he is going to speak on the topic, Career Trends of Future in Profession. There are 5 trends which is actually shaping the future of work: big data, cloud, Internet of Things, robots, and automation. And there are many more technologies which are coming up. So I request you to take an action now and upgrade yourself. Otherwise, you can understand, where we are going to head. And now I am privileged and honored to introduce our first learned speaker, Mr. Ashutosh Sinha. Mr. Ashutosh Sinha is the Director for People, Performance and Culture at KPMG Lower Gulf. In his role, he manages partner affairs, HR business advisory across service lines and talent eminence. He is a seasoned HR leader with cross-industry experience in consulting, technology, audit, hydrocarbon, e-commerce, and retail. He has over 25 years of work experience with reputed multinationals in the Middle East, India, and US. Most recently, he led the HR Center of Excellence for Landmark Group across the MENA region. He has also worked as head of HR for Deloitte Consulting in India and US. Mr. Sinha has a proven track record in creating business impact through people and process transformation. He has an extensive industry network, and he is the author of the international bestseller, Breakthrough, the Framework for an Inspired Career. He is an EGF Fellow in Inclusion and Diversity from Columbia University Business School, New York. He has been a speaker in the United Nations and other global forums. He started his career as an engineer from NIT Raipur, followed by an MBA from Goa Institute of Management. He lives in Dubai with his wife and 2 sons. He loves to travel, write, and be with nature. He is also an avid golfer and tennis player. Could you please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Sinha? Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. And is it okay? Yeah. Can you hear me, Phil? All right. If you don't smile, I'll know you're not hearing me well. So, that is a very honored gesture to have introduced me in such a nice way. But I'm just another professional sitting amongst you. And my year's experience has only been led by one purpose, as I call it. And that purpose is to make others successful. So I've been speaking at various forums, including a lot of educational institutions, institutions which are of repute across the globe. and also with a lot of charitable institutions. And my goal is just simple, that there is a lot of unlocked potential we have, and untapped potential we have as humans, which sometimes gets ignored in the rush of a job. Because job is a very myopic phenomena, and we don't look beyond it. So today, in the theme of careers, we're going to talk about the trends, but my topic is going to be slightly broader. I will touch upon demystifying how to be successful in your career. And then we'll, within that, go into the subset of talking about specifically what are the trends and what can we do to be better, right? So just to begin, and please stop me wherever you want if you have any questions, and we can, of course, have Q&A at the end as well, or during the break. So this was something I was researching on during my book, and I realized that it's a very interesting slide. And it's a well-known research institute which has published this. They publish this every few years. And interestingly, it's like an electrocardiogram, it's the ECG for a human heart, almost, if you see. But what it really is, the ECG of the world economics, ECG of the world politics, ECG of the world environment. And if you were to focus on that and look at it specifically, the ability to, the uncertainty, if you look right from 1959, and this is very US focused, but this is applicable for the entire world actually, if you look in different ways. The ECG was not fluctuating as much. This is the frequency, number of incidents which are happening, and this is the years, right? That's how you need to read this graph. And if you're looking at the frequency of what was going on, was a little bit here, it was getting much better, and suddenly in the last 10 years, it shot up. And it's gone up like never before. Every few months, something is changing in the world. Every few months, there is some incident, environmental, political, or business-led, which is impacting how the global climate is moving. And therefore, the question here to the room is, and please nod if you agree with this, that does it impact you as a human, as a career? Because we sometimes feel that we are immune to the global changes, what's happening around us. We live in our box, and we feel that's my company, my organization, my job, and that's it. But what really goes on is that there's a lot of change which is around. And if you look at the COVID-19 pandemic, which was just when my book was coming out before that, and it was not captured in this graph, incidentally, and I put it there on the top separately. That was the peak, right? And that's where, after that, the world catapulted, became different. Something changed there. So, in the words of one of our clients from Salesforce, she said, we've been catapulted, literally, into the future. It's just suddenly after the COVID, after the pandemic, something has drastically changed. And how is it happening? What's going on around the world? If we really look at, the traditional playbook is gone. No more are we talking about the impact, the way people used to talk before. No more are the workforce rules the same. No more are the career growth plans the same. No more are the ability to grow business the same. Everything has turned on its heel. And what's really going on is that the HR leaders or the CEOs, they're developing a new charter to pave the way forward. Which means that if we, as careerists, as businessmen, as professionals, are not part of that charter, not part of the writing of the new playbook, then we'll be left behind for sure. So I do want to kind of urge us to think for a moment that what is changing around us, how does it impact us? It's very easy to say that, we got to go for a job interview, or we need to look at how we're growing, and sometimes we get worried about how we're growing. But it's much more deeper as a phenomena. Like in the introduction, you said beautifully, the effect is not limited to just a career. It's also limited to our families. It's also limited to people around us. And they all get engulfed and involved in this entire conversation called career. These are the 4 guiding principles, really, which have emerged as we are seeing from people and change practice in KPMG, and overall, even as a phenomena, what I've seen. The total workforce approach. Suddenly, everyone matters. Everyone matters. whether it is the associate who just joins a firm, whether it's a leader who comes in laterally with a lot of experience as a CEO or a head of business or a partner. Everyone is changing very, very quickly. And the impact is that you need to have an approach where everyone is involved. You can't ignore the view of anyone who is at any stage of the career in an organization. So there's a total workforce approach. What does it mean for you and I? The total workforce approach means that there's connection, there's collaboration, there's a respect for a point of view. So if you're taking on a career, if you're getting into an interview, even if you're part of a promotion process, whatever it might be, the first rule of the game which is changing, and was always there, but now it's bolder, have a POV, have a point of view. If you have a point of view on something on social media, in your organization, sitting in a meeting, sitting on a Zoom call or a Teams call or whatever it might be, it matters. It's being noticed. The second is developing a new charter. What is important to the business? The only thing earlier was important to the business was NFR, net growth, net financial revenue. But that's not the only thing which is important now. What is important to the business is also something called sustainability. The youngsters which are entering the workforce today, and today every organization's average age is coming down drastically. When I joined the workforce, and I'm not very old like all of you, the workforce average age was around 38, 40. Today, the average age has come down to about 25 to 30. That's the average workforce enterprise age today. And which means is clearly that these youngsters, when they step in, they're looking for a few fundamentals. They're very conscious. They want to make sure that they're not joining a firm, they're not joining a company, they're not joining a team which does not respect few things like sustainability. It sounds like a buzzword, it is not anymore. Retail organizations are changing to change their cloth lines into sustainable recycled cloth lines. Practices in offices, the KPMG office here is fully sustainable, highly eco-friendly, everything gets recycled. So there's a lot of push, and there's so many other organizations who are doing the same. But why is that happening? Why is it important to be sustainable suddenly? Because that means longevity. If you're sustainable, you're going to stay longer in the game. And if you as a professional, what does it mean to an individual? If you as a professional are part of that game and you're able to make the difference and able to bring views to the table, going back to the first point of view. If you're able to bring a point of view which is tied to the ESG factor, the S in the ESG, the environmental governance piece, how are you able to bring up ideas and thinking to your board, to your team, to your leader, to your boss, to your clients, which is sustainable in the equation? Suddenly you'll be heard, your voice will be heard. The other point is reimagining the career growth. How can we reskill? So I was giving a lecture in one of the tech organizations, largest tech organizations in the world, the other day in Seattle, and we were talking about it. And something someone asked there is, how do we reskill? What does it mean? Everyone talks about reskilling, upskilling, cross-skilling, so many kinds of skilling. What does it really mean there? Do we really have something which is a mantra, which is a magic mantra, which can help us really change the way we look at the world, or we suddenly overnight become someone else? Is that possible? Well, it's not practically possible. You can't suddenly be A to B. You can't become a different person. You have certain core competencies. So what that really means is reimagining career growth means is that imagine a canvas in this room. Let's say that in front of me there's this huge matrix out here where there are multiple pieces going through. And each one of them has an approach where everyone is trying to choose a career. When I started my career, there were 3 or 4 kinds of career. Today, the world has about 336 kind of careers, and even more developing every single day. the work streams within the work stream coming up every single day. And what is important is, which one do you plan to choose? So the approach is, if you have over 300 careers available, what does it mean? That can someone just pick up? If you're middle-aged, can you just jump to one of those fancy careers or something new buzzword? No, not really. That's not the point. The point is, you have a certain strength. You have certain important core skill. Today, you may be amazing within finance, an accounting whiz. You may be someone who is an amazing cloud computing guy who has just learned something from a college, and you want to be in accounting, and so on and so forth. So if you're able to catch your personal core strength with your training and with what's in demand, that's a nexus you need to arrive on. And that's reimagining your career. Because if we stay in the career slot where we are, the chances are that in a few years, those career slots won't exist anymore, very fast. I was attending in San Francisco, there is this institute called Institute of Futures, IF, and we had CEOs, accountants, salespeople, everyone sitting there. And they asked a question, who will be your workforce colleagues in 6 years from now? And everyone had new generation as an answer, something very interesting. Everyone had different, inclusion, diversity, all those things they had. Very right things, absolutely. But they said, you will have bots sitting within you. My friend in the t-shirt with the yellow stripe could be a bot right now, you don't know. Right? I'm just kidding, sorry. But the point is that anyone could be a bot, and could be people. Now that bot doesn't mean a human android walking around like Tesla showed, not necessarily. Bot could be simply a program, bot could be someone who is helping you skill up, bot could be your boss in the future. So the point is not to get scared of that, but the fact is that you have to therefore reimagine your career. I already covered the embracing the S and the ESG. So the important question is, why are you in this profession? Why are you in this profession? Be honest to yourself and spend a few minutes sometime during the day today, or maybe another day when you have some time, that why are you in this profession, first of all? And you have to be extremely honest to yourself. Are you because, like my first answer was because my dad told me. That's how I was in the profession. I went into engineering first. My dad said it was the greatest thing to do, so I went to become a metallurgical engineer. I went to be on a blast furnace. I joined a steel plant. I went to China. I think I was working great. But then I realized somewhere my calling was something else. I love people. I like to make people successful. So why are you in this profession? Ask yourself that question. Very important. What's really going on in the world today is that there's so many people exiting careers. You must have heard about great resignation, great rotation, great skilling, all those words. But what's really going on there is a lot of people, half the population, they're saying they chose the wrong career, somewhere in the middle. And they want to make a switch. But they're afraid to make the switch because they don't know how to make the switch. They know they're not in the right career. They may be, and career doesn't mean profession. Career can also mean work stream. You may be wanting to become a great financial accountant, but you've been pushed to become a CEO, maybe, or a business head, but you love doing something else. How do you do that? How do you marry both, right? Things like that. So there are two approaches in career. Now let's come to the core and the meat of this, right? There's a long-term approach, there's a short-term approach. The short-term approach is focus on network, your public profile, absolutely. That's what everyone tells you. Go on the LinkedIn, and suddenly you'll be glorious. Suddenly you will be LinkedIn-tized, right? But that's good. It's very important. I agree. The second one is your personal profile. It could be your resume, it could be your CV, and what does it look like? Very, very important. Third is your next job, your next gig. Like people have multiple careers nowadays, and what is that? So that's a short-term approach. You're thinking only that. But if you're 30-something, 40-something, even 50-something today, in the light of what we just discussed before, a few slides back, it's very important to understand that what this means is, what is the job happiness shelf life? The job happiness shelf life is 2 years by research if you're looking on a short-term approach. But if you look at a long-term approach, which is analyzing your current situation, looking at the current two Ps. Two Ps is your passion and purpose, right? And purpose is very important, certainly. And you're tying that with your career roadmap, which you can plan right now, wherever you are, right? Things begin to change. It's actually very, very interesting that sometimes we think that why should I be spending time on thinking about something called, a career roadmap? Who cares for it? How do we look at jobs as next job? We look at money, paycheck drives us. We look at the fancy title sometimes. We look at the location, but they don't carry you for too long. They're short-term approach-based. They're not core fundamentals. So while what I'm saying is sounding antithesis to what the world is always thinking and we are hearing around us, but the truth of the matter is that it is not. And you need to have your core fundamentals right. You need to have a career roadmap where you're thinking, okay, where am I heading with this? What is my personal purpose with this? What am I attached to it? So somewhere, for example, like 9 years back, I was doing really well in my career. I was in Deloitte, doing very, very well, a global citizen. And then something hit me that, am I just happy or am I happy? And which meant that, why does one work? Why doesn't do all this called job and career? And that's something more beyond it. And where do we go with that? So the important is what drives the value of paycheck, right? And this is a T2T career framework which I designed some time back and, which I spoke about. It's part of my new book as well, is that when we are at 20 to 30 years of age here, we have about 13 something hours. And we can talk about that later. How is that right? You can help you calculate that. 30 to 40 is when we are climbing uphill. We are developing a family, maybe. We are trying to gather some more moss around us. And we have 14,600 hours. When we reach about 40 to 50, we have 8,761 hours approximately, give and take. And so on and so forth. And when we are at the point of, quadrant D, as I call it, 50 to 60, there's a time you're supposed to be giving back to the world, right? Now, what's really going on? What is a T2 career? It is that if you're somewhere here in the quadrant A, it's important to get into experimenting and career menu selection. It's very important to experiment. Just don't go in for saying, because someone said, I want to try this. It's okay to experiment. You have the luxury to experiment. There's less risk loaded on you, right? We understand risk loading, right? So risk loading is very less. If you're somewhere here, it's important to start getting specialized in a domain which is of your choice. And then if you inverted T, if you look at somewhere here, you need to start developing an expertise and depth. You need to have a core strength. You need to be known in the industry for something. If you have your name there, it should say something on Google or in your company or with your colleagues or your family, you are known for this. Can you say that today? And if you could say that, that's what you need to talk about. That I, Peter or Rajendra or Muhammad or Salim, whatever, I am known for this. And that is key and important out there. So the expertise and depth, and then here is the broad T in piece where you broaden your industry authority, right? So earlier there was a concept of T-shaped careers when you just go up vertically and you broaden up and you become a journalist. And now it's a slightly T2T as I call it, right? If you go to the next one, there's just a quick one around how is career, and we already spoke about this a little bit. Now, what are secrets? Let's get down to some basics. That was the philosophy, right? And what are some little secrets around this? Because I'm conscious of time here, and we can always chat more about this. Have you researched the role you are in today or you plan to apply for? Do you understand the research, the role completely? How does a typical, so I've done a lot of focus groups and I spoke to some new candidates who came in and I asked them that, how did you come to the interview? What did you read before the interview? And they said, we didn't have time. We're so busy. And they're proud they were busy, and I was proud that they were busy because, of course, you're busy, so you are doing well. But what have you applied for? And then my next question to them is, what did the recruiter tell you? They don't recall. And the next question is, okay, what do you think of the role? And so there's this complete blank on what they think about the role they've applied for. But what they're prepared for is, tell me about yourself. That's the question they love. That's the question we all love. And then we start on this long journey of saying, I am Ashutosh Sinha, I have 28 years experience, I've done this, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes my candidates go on for 20 minutes, and I'm looking at them, can you stop? Please, because I want to ask you one more question. But the point is, because they have not read the JD, they have not read the details, they don't know they're applying for an accounting job. Within accounting, they're applying for a core finance element job, which is linked to not accounting, but something else, or something like linked to more like treasury side. They know only one thing, how much money this job is going to pay. Not a bad thing. Of course, we need money, right? But like I say, I spoke about 2 P's in my previous slide. But if you go and check my articles or LinkedIn, I also talk about 3 P's: purpose, passion, and paycheck. Paycheck is last. If you're driven by paycheck, it's never going to happen. But if you're driven by passion and purpose, the paycheck is going to follow you. So right here as well, if you're coming to the job with a sense of purpose and you're coming to me and saying, listen, I want to join you because I just loved what KPMG did there, or Deloitte did there, whoever did there, on this thing, and I was reading something on the article with this cybersecurity, or something around, which is environmental governance, or something around the new phenomena which the chairman spoke about, something. I'll wake up as an interviewer. You're waking my soul. I'm connecting to you. So step 1 is to ensure that you understand what are you applying for. And reading the JD is not a piece of document to be thrown away. It's a very important document. In fact, you get challenge the interviewer, and the interviewer will love it. If you say, yeah, but you also said in the JD that, by the way, this job is not mobile, but you're telling me that I have to move around countries or cities or whatever. So the point is, scan the JD well. The second thing is prepare, right? Now, we have a lot of these recruiting online services these days to prepare your resume or your CV, right? And we make the classical mistake of saying, if my CV looks beautiful, or if my bio looks beautiful, I'm in. And that's what they sell to you, right? They're not wrong. Presentation is very important of your paper. But if your paper does not have content to the cause, to the job, to the profession, so if you step back and think about it, what you're really thinking about is something else. Let's say you're in the company, you're not changing the job. Let's say you're in the same line, looking for a promotion. How do you approach it? We give the charge of that to our bosses. They need to promote us. Someone needs to get us to the next level. No, it lies on us. The same thing when you apply for an external job is for the internal job. Why do you get missed on promotions? Why does someone else get promoted? And we blame it to the person. We say, I got missed, better luck next time. No, not really. It's possibly luck also plays a role, but definitely also is how are you preparing yourself for getting into the next level of resume in the organization. It's key and critical. Dress to influence is very important. Can you make a first impression as you walk in the room? And recently in our firm, what we did was, in the days of Zoom and team meetings, we used to be, because we're in front of clients, we're in front of meetings with people, the normal thing was someone would wake up and get from the bed to the computer, right? That's how COVID has taught us. And we said, if it's a webinar with 100 people, 50 people, 70 people, okay, don't turn on the camera. But if you are in a 5-people meeting, in a client meeting, dress for the meeting. Dress for the Teams meeting, dress for the Zooms meeting, dress for the video meeting. So we encourage people to start coming to work with their dress on, with their best selves on, with their, and that changed it suddenly because they're dressing for the Zoom call. They're dressing for the day. Similarly, when someone walks in, as per neuroscience, I did something, I was at MIT and there was something called, there's Dr. Tara Swart, who is a specialist in neuroscience, and I asked her that how does dress play a role in the psychology of any interview, any job placement, anything like that, in career. And her simple answer was, when we enter a restaurant, we take 3 seconds to size up people around us. When we enter a plane, we take 3 seconds to size up people around us. We unconsciously do that always, always. We came into this room today, 4 people standing around us, we were like, okay, all right. That's us. We're psychologically trained, tuned to do that. So when you enter a room, a Zoom call, or a real interview room, people size you up. You may not be whichever Hollywood or Bollywood or Tollywood star you are, it doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's about not how good do you look, it's about how well are you dressing for influence. Can you influence others in the room? Can they look at you and say, okay, this is a person of some interest. If you go on beyond this, I can spend a lot of time on this, but I'm just conscious of the time here. So, one thing which I skipped was, did you network? What did I mean by network? When you influence well, when you are dressed for influence, when you're giving your point of view, like I said earlier, when you have a point of view in LinkedIn, in social media, in conferences, don't ask me questions today because I told you for point of view, but generally I'm saying that if you have a point of view, what's important is that you begin to network. And when you network, you can reach out to someone before that interview, before the job, even an internal job positioning, right? Not just external. And say, listen, I'm interested in that job, in that organization, in that place. Can you tell me something about it? You've done this before. So I know this person, she applied for this. I just was very, very amazed by her homework. She'd applied for this job in my organization, and we started talking, and she knew so much about the job, but she also knew so much about the role and the team she was applying for. And I said, have you worked at KPMG before? And she said, no. How do you know so much about us? She said, I spoke to about 7 people who have worked in the same role and the same team and different people who came into the conversation. And she was so clued in. Similarly, I met other people around the world who do this. And so network is not just for network. I get about, and a lot of us in the room probably I get about 30 pings from LinkedIn every day. People wanting to add me in, become network, all of that, right? We all get that. 27 of those, or 25 of those are about a job. Imagine if you were someone and I'm approaching you and I come and say, ping, I want a job. Right? How do you react to me? But instead, if you say, hi, I want to advise, genuinely, not for the sake of trying to fib it, things are going to be different. Someone's going to genuinely, because we as humans love to help someone give advice. We are, again, tuned to that psychologically. So that's really important, okay? The many trends, the 3 key trends specifically around the world right now after the phenomena which is seeing right now. And I don't need to tell this to you, it's there everywhere, you can see it. But the important thing which we need to talk about is that how are you understanding the new change in the game, the code, right? The code is this. The new accountant, or the new, and you can replace accountant with actually technologist, HR guy, anyone, doesn't matter, sales guy, is someone who can provide insights when budgets are bleak. Everyone's budgets are down. No one has a budget, right? Everyone has budgets. First thing you go and people say, I don't have a budget anymore. Budgets are down. So how can you be someone who can ensure and say, in a bleak budget, I can make the right decision to grow business. I can help you to grow business. And if you're that person in the room, that person in the meeting, that person in the interview, that person who is able to, in any of these areas, it could be analytics, it could be AI, it could be cloud accounting, which the trends, or there could be, none of these trends could be something which you're doing today. But if you would advise around it, you're able to really make a difference, right? So, sorry, is that my phone? My apologies. You could open it and just look at that. That's okay. Sorry. I think my phone was telling me the time is over. So the point is, this is pretty much what we need to be focused on, and make sure that if we are able to provide someone advice in the limited budget, and we have a point of view on that, that's all we need to do. We don't need to be worried about saying, am I too young? Am I not the right person? Have I not been trained yet for this? Can I even give advice on this? No. Have the confidence. You can give advice on something for sure. If you're here walking into this room with so many experience, you definitely have it. So do that, please. All right? Last, this is my favorite slide, and that's how I'll like to wrap up, is that it's my favorite childhood book, Alice in Wonderland. And Alice was walking in the jungle, and she asked the cat, she was there, and the cat asked her that, Alice, where are you going? And Alice said, well, which way should I go, right? So the cat said, depends where you are going. And Alice said, I don't know. Then the cat said, doesn't matter where you go, right? It doesn't really matter. So it's very important that we understand where we are going. And that's how our interviews and everything will be handy. Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure meeting you this morning. I'll be happy to take any Q&A if you have later. I think we are on time right now, so I'll be happy to do that. Thank you. Unless you want to take some.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sinha, for letting us know about the future of our profession. It gives us immense insight into being a chartered accountant and what we should do to be in race. Let us have a big round of applause for our guest speaker. Now I'd like to invite CA Surinder Sareen, our chairman, C. Anurag Chaturvedi, vice chairman, C. Harikishan Rakawat, to present a memento to our speaker, Mr. Sinha.
Thank you so much.
Now it's time for a group picture. So may I request all the speakers on the stage with XCOM, please? Thank you very much. I can see someone who is eager to share his views and plan of activities, the one who is known as the man of action. He is none other than our chapter chairman, C. Anurag Chaturvedi. Let us all welcome him with a big round of applause.
Working? Hello? Yeah? Thank you, Secretary C. Manoj Agrawal, for such a wonderful opening and remark today. Friends, before I begin, I just want to ask one question to all of you. And I always believe that, we always start the session with that, engagement itself. So my first question is, what is career? How many of you know what is a career? Go ahead, please. You can.
Career is something, it not be money, it not be work or job. It's your work plus passion plus the enjoyment that you get. And that takes you to where you want to. And your career can be trapped in that.
Superb. Well, if I say about the definition, so let's understand we are all people of, we read law, we understand law pretty well. So the career is an occupation taken for a defined period with an opportunity for the growth, right? So career is basically occupation for progress. And what is progress? Why we're talking about it? Because we'll set the context. So what is the progress? So progress is development and improvements towards advanced condition, right? So career is basically occupation for opportunities, and opportunities defined by advanced condition, right? So eminent speakers of the day, Mr. Ashutosh Sinha, Mr. Ian Gionati, Ms. Valentina Atissimo, and Ms. Fatima Alogani, Vice Chairman of the chapter, Sri Harikishan Rankawat, and my managing committee members and guests, very good morning to all of you. Come on, just a little bit lighten up. Because if you'll not light me up, then I'll not be able to deliver my address. So please remember that. And I'll talk about, besides the normal events that we have done so far, and what all we're going to do. But before that, today let's learn about how we can improve ourselves. How we can really improve ourselves. Why this entire topic of career prep? Because this is very close to my heart. And the reason for organizing this entire event is that I receive hundreds, not just only 1 or 2 or 30 or 40, hundreds requests every day. If you see my LinkedIn followers is nearly 21,000. People write it because we symbolize hope. It's nothing, this always so good, that we symbolize hope, that we are the torchbearer of the chapter, we are torchbearers of profession. So a lot of people write to us. And they write for the job, they write for career. So I wanted to pass on this message to everybody through this particular event, that how shall we prepare for it. So my 6 key takeaways today, I'll talk about it. So the first question, where your career begins, is knowing who you follow the most. Let me ask you a question. Who you follow, each one of you? Can anybody give me an answer? Who you follow the most? Nobody an answer?
Who resembles our dreams.
Dreams. Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Warren Buffett. Or Narendra Modi ji, Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji. But before all these people come to conclusion who you follow yourself. You go to Honorable Prime Minister of India to take advice about yourself, or Warren Buffett, or Mahendra Singh Dhoni, or anybody else. Who you go to? Your inner soul. And this inner soul is the one who you neglect. You never look to that. You never listen to it, right? We all talk about every single thing, but essentially, what I believe is that who you really follow is yourself. You listen to everybody, but you don't do what they say. You do what you want, right? And what your inner soul says. So the first thing is that follow yourself. And why I mean to say that follow yourself is if you'll not follow yourself, who will else follow? Right? If you'll not follow yourself, who else will follow you? And it also instigates one more fact, that trust in your abilities, friend. If you do not trust your own ability, who else is going to trust you? So the very first journey begins with you. Follow yourself and trust your own instincts. And second is, do what you're good at. Do what you're good at. Don't look into trends. Don't look into anything else. But first of all, look into yourself, what you're good at. Can you believe that somebody who's so weak can be a bodybuilder, can be a gymmer? Maybe not. A person who who's a runner, can he become, a person who's sitting at the job doing cloud computing? No. So you need to understand what you're good at. Research about it. How many of you has ever talked to yourself? Anybody please raise hands? Only 1, 2, 3, 4. You're talking to everybody, not talking to yourself? I'll give you an example. My son, he's a 5-year-old. And what he does, I ask him to stand and give me a speech. And I was really fascinated by looking at him that bang on. In 3 seconds he started and he made his own song. That I was sleeping in the night, getting into bed, waking in the morning, getting fresh, going to school. Thought. It's just like he's talking to himself. Talking to yourself is the most important thing, because this entire soul will tell you what you are good at, my friend, what you really enjoy. We talk about passion and purpose, but how do you know that? Can I tell your purpose? Can anybody tell your purpose? And your passion? It's inside you. So you need to awake your soul. And we all have done CS, right? We all are chartered accountants. We all qualified. But can you tell me that did we all study the same way to qualify the chartered accountancy? Do we have the same way to learn? Do you agree or not? That we don't have a similar way to learn. Okay? Which means somebody is a morning person who wakes up 4 a.m. in the morning and start reading. Somebody is night blower like me. My kick start at 12 a.m. in the morning and it goes until 3. And somebody is a daydreamer. So they work in the daytime. Somebody like to read with the books. Somebody is just like to see the slides. Somebody is whatever way. We all have different way of learning, right? So identify your way of learning. How can you learn about advancing your career? And don't do what you don't like, right? When I say this is very important topic, don't do what you don't like. Example, and I will quote the example. I posted 2 recent jobs. One was the director of corporate tax, as it is in trend. And second one is manager corporate tax. And guess what is happening? There are nearly 30 candidates. 30. They applied for the both jobs. Laugh. I want to hear this laugh, right? I want to hear this laugh. Why? Now, these 30 candidates, do you think I will look into their CVs and try to interview for any position? What's your answer? Say louder. No. Because I want to make you listen this. No. Because a person who's confused, I don't want to look at him. He is not sure about what he really wants to do in life. And as Ashutosh mentioned, reading about the organization, reading about a person. Who is not? People are not reading. The JD, I took like 3 hours of time to draft a JD. And if a person comes to interview in front of me and is not pro with the JD, in first 3 minutes, I say thank you very much. Whoever you are, whatever caliber you have, how smart you are, if you don't have time to read my JD, I'm not interested to talk to you. And that is, my friends, remember this. That's what the recruiters believe. They are not interested to talk to you. They are not interested to listen to you. They will not listen to you. You will not land up in a career if you will not read the JDs. Do not respect people out there. Because if you read something, if you write something, and somebody's kind of unprepared, how do you feel? You feel good? You feel good, right? No. Say louder, please. No. And when I say respect you and respect others, if you are not in your command, then your chances are very bleak going forward. You are going to lead the finance function, which is the most important function for any organization. And if your personality is weak, the entire finance function is weak and entire organization can take to a different level. So, remember, respect yourself, respect others. And as I say again all the time, be the one you wish to see the world. Which means, you need to be someone how you others want to see you, right? So if you're going to a meeting or you're going to any interview out there, do you think that if you go in a very unprofessional way, which means, professional does not mean that you don't talk good. Unprofessionalism means that you're not dressing right. And as we all seen that, essentially I'm just conscious of time, one more minute. So as you all see that when you're going to get married, I'll just take example, please don't quote me wrong, but I just want to set examples today. When you're going to marriages out there, why you dress so well? Why? The women out here, the beautiful women, and the smart, handsome man out here, why you dress so well? You already get married, all right? So you're not going to marry again. Right? The grooms, they may probably dress well. Why the guys who are unmarried, they dress well, or the girls, they are unmarried, they dress well? Because you want attention. You know that, right? So if you know that, then why don't you dress well while you're going for a meeting? It's your chance. Every single meeting can generate a business for $100,000, $200,000. You don't want to spend even 1,000 dirhams on your dressing? Come on. So, through this entire event, I want to convey the message to all of you that your personality is your reflection. And as somebody rightly said, the fashion is a way of life. And a style is a reflection of the wearer. Style is a reflection of the wearer. So what you dress, how you dress, that's how you sound to other people, because your mouth is closed. They don't know about you, how much knowledge they have, but they made already impression. And once you made the impression, it's very hard to change, my friends. And as again rightly said, adornment is sinfully pleasing luxury and evolves with you and grows and develops with you. Style is a print. Style comes within, and style was self-confidence. And at last, fashion is freedom, style denotes character, and style lasts forever, friends. And before I close, this morning while the event was, I was on my way to the event, one of our member within us has messaged me. He says, thank you very much for organizing this event of such a high magnitude and importance for all of us. Can you please ask our people to be confident? Confident. He says, I'm in a multinational company. I want to give opportunities to chartered accountants. But when they come for interview, they don't have any confidence like they can accept the job for 4,000 dirhams, 3,000 dirhams. A consultant is coming and offering a service at 300 dirhams a day. Friends, I want to tell you, a lot of people ask me that how I built up this entire firm, Anderson, how I become Anderson, and how I get this global brand out there. It's because I believe in my own ability. As I believe in my own ability, you all have that extraordinary talent which can unleash you to a beyond level. You have such a great intellect. Please use it wisely. Please use your options wisely. Be confident, no fear, because you are born in this world by the Almighty. He will take care of this thing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairman, C.N. Rock Chaturvedi, for your kind words. In this whole speech of dressing and all, you forgot to mention about our future events. So I'll take that opportunity. So we have planned our cricket tournament on 22nd of May, and I believe most of us have already registered. If not, you can do it today. Today is the last day for registration. Then we have a technical event on TEX on 21st of May. Then on 29th of May, we have, 5th of June, we have a female cricket tournament, and 12th of June, we will have a badminton tournament. And 11th of June, we are planning for an international TEX event. On 29th of May, we are planning for an investment event. So this is the plan, what he has shared with us so now. Thank you very much. So while searching for a job, we used to apply or forward our CVs for various vacancies. And he has already mentioned that we get generally a standard response. Thanks for your application. We will get back to you if your CV matches our requirements. And after that, chill, nothing. I'm facing this issue nowadays. Have you ever thought that what may be the reason for these standard replies? One of the main reasons, which I feel, our own mistakes. Errors in job application, like Mr. Sinha mentioned, not doing any research for the company, no networking. So like he rightly pointed out, when we do start networking on LinkedIn, with that message, we used to get a standard message. Dear Mr. Agrawal, good to see your profile. We would like to connect with you. I'm searching for a job, please help me. So what happens? We just accept the invitation, and practically, it's very tough to read and reply on each of such job searching messages. Most importantly is not customizing the CVs and cover letters. We have paid $160 to some Naukri or some any other websites. Once in lifetime, they created other CVs, and we keep forwarding those. But like Mr. Sinha said, we need to customize as per the requirement well within our expertise. And these errors, we generally committed. And to know more about these mistakes and how to overcome that, today we have with us our guest speaker, Mr. Ian. To introduce him, I would like to invite our treasurer, C.A. Jayaprakash Agrawal, to the stage.
Thank you, Secretary C. Manoj Agrawal. Good morning. You had your good breakfast? Then I can hear a louder good morning. Good morning. The next time I will arrange sweets. लेकिन सुबह सुबह sweets नहीं खाने चाहिए, इसलिए we have not arranged for it. Okay. Today I have dual role to play. One, as Mr. Secretary assigned me to introduce the speaker, which I'll come later. Second, the responsibility which is assigned by you as a treasurer. Since you all are sitting here, that means you have already paid your fees and you are a paid member. That's why you are in the auditorium. But what I want from you is, I want more strength in ICAI. Right now we are 2,000 plus members. I want to see a number of 3,000. And who can do it? You all can do it. How you can do it? Introduce one member. We are more than 8,000 plus chartered accountants in this region, in Middle East. 8,000. 2,000 is our members. That means if each one of us reaches one member, convince him why he should join ICAI Dubai chapter, I think we are doing our job. Can we all do that? Sir, इधर से आवाज नहीं है, उधर से तो आई. ये section agree नहीं करता? Yes. So my request to you is to introduce one member to ICAI Dubai chapter so that we can have strength, because strength is something which will take us far and forward. That's my request to you as a treasurer. Other announcements will come soon. Now, let me go to my other role. Mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. All people make mistakes. But wise people learn from their mistakes. And smart people learn from mistakes of others. We are chartered accountants. We are smart. So what we do? We learn from mistakes of others. And to know that what mistakes are made by other people, I have one learned speaker, Mr. Ian, with us. Mr. Ian first joined Nadia Global in 1993 as a consultant and was the main support to help it grow throughout the years. Over his 29 years with Nadia Global, he successfully accomplished numerous high-profile assignments for both private sector companies and government bodies. More importantly, he became a recognized expert in the field of HR consultancy and established himself as one of the region's leading expert in executive search, recruitment, and staff retention. He's a recruitment expert, so after the event, I'm sure most of the chartered accountants are coming to you, sir, with the job requirements. Throughout his tenure at Nadia Global, he was responsible for leading and coaching the recruitment teams, where many have gone on to senior positions in the country. So we have a right opportunity to understand how to grow from an executive to reach a senior position. Ian is in frequent demand as an expert speaker on topics relevant to recruitment at conferences, podcasts, radio, and TV. The person always comes in radios and TV. Today only for you, Chairman Anurag Chaturvedi was able to pull him to this conference. Thank you for inviting us, our invitation, and coming here, sir. His annual employment survey seminar is seen as the authoritative source by majority of the region's employers. Can I have a big round of applause for Mr. Ian? There is one more surprise for you. Can you see the brown podium? Yeah, right? If you actually love the session and if you clap harder at the end of the sessions when we are closing it, it will turn into green. Okay, it will turn, but you have to clap louder. If you're not clapping louder, it will not turn green. Okay, we'll look forward to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. So, I'm looking around the room. Just as a matter of interest, how many people here know Nadia? Could you raise your hands? Now, keep your hand up if you're registered with Nadia's. There's a few people here telling lies because they've put their hands down. Okay. I've been with Nadia's for almost 30 years now. There's a few faces I recognize from when they were audit juniors and now risen to senior positions. But anyway, okay, let me talk a little bit about Nadia and about myself. Whoops. Okay, so Nadia, I've been there for 30 years. The company has been in existence for almost 40 years. 3 years ago, we were acquired by the Malhotra family. Mr. Vijay Malhotra is probably known to most of you, former chairman of KPMG Middle East. We have over 1 million candidates in our database. We've done, over those 40 years, almost 170,000 permanent placements. We've got about 20,000 satisfied customers. The average tenure of an employee at Nadia's is about 15 years. Now, the difference that makes is that recruitment industry, people will do 2-3 years. Somebody will come along, offer them more money, they'll move, they'll jump, etc., etc. But with Nadia's, you have the same people long term. And we're the only consultancy that provides recruitment, executive search, and training. Now, my next slide, which I gave away already, all accountants are boring. Please don't stand up and walk out. This is not something that I concur with. It's a statement by one of my junior resourcers who I was training when I first gave them an assignment to say, you're going to do accountancy. Oh no, they're boring. Oh, they're accountants. I look at, how do you judge an accountant, was my question. Well, I look at their qualification. I look at how many years experience they've got. I look at how much money they want. And that's it. No. Accountants. Every successful organization, every successful CEO has behind them a strong accounts team or a strong CFO. Yeah? Because there is one truth in business. The numbers state the facts and tell the truths. And who are the people that give you the numbers? the accountants. So, if we look at accountancy positions in the current marketplace, yeah, these are the pie chart are the vacancies that we've had this year so far. In terms of the vacancies that we've had, 35% CAs, 30% CPA, 20% MCOM, 15% BCOM. Yeah? There is a surge at the moment in the requirement for accountancy staff. As with everything, it's supply and demand. So what can you expect salary-wise? Again, let me explain. What's a passive candidate and what's an active candidate? A passive candidate is somebody that's not looking for a job. You've all had phone calls or emails from recruiters saying, hi, look, I've got an opportunity. Are you interested? Yeah? If they're approaching you, you can expect more money than you're currently earning, 20%, 25%. If you're approaching them, you're an active candidate, you've seen the advert, you want to apply for the job, then you can look at 10% above what your current salary is. So, where are you going to find these jobs if you are an active candidate? So, situations vacant. The world has changed since I started as a recruiter. Before it used to be we had one page in the Gulf News every day, Nadia's vacancies. I'm sure some of you remember that, the big blue colours and everything. Listing all our jobs, we'd have all the accountants' jobs together. For every job that we advertised, we would get 250 to 300 applications, of whom, if it was an accountancy vacancy, actually only 50 would be accountancy qualified or some kind of accountancy qualification. Digital networking, LinkedIn, has changed the world. Yeah? Today we have job boards. A vacancy before that we would advertise in the Gulf News, nowadays we get applications from all over the world. Yeah? Virgin Islands, I had an accountant applying from. Recruitment agencies. Recruitment agencies, we've been here for 40 years. There are some people who have been here for 5 years. Some people have been here for a year. But they are a source. Direct application. I hate direct applications. I don't make any money from direct applications. Yeah? You should not apply directly for a job. No, seriously. Direct applications, it's a fact of life and it's something that we have to go by. Companies that want to save money and don't want to pay my fees, and they have a strong HR team, will go for direct applications before they go to me. It's a fact of life. If there's a company that you are interested in, your best chance of getting there is a direct application. Okay, and personal references in networking. We've already had the speech. A lot of what I'm going to say over the next 10 to 15 minutes has already been said, but it needs to be re-emphasized and it needs to be important. Okay, so actually your CV, this is something that we didn't really touch upon. Yeah? There are 3 styles of CV: chronological, functional, and hybrid style. For accountants, I personally recommend hybrid style. Yeah? Chronological. You'd be surprised the amount of CVs that I receive that start off with, this was my first job, this was my second job, this was my third job, this was my fourth job. No, I'm not going to look at it. Yeah? A very important point for you to remember with recruiters. We will have at any one time, as was mentioned earlier, 30 CVs. That's a small number. Normally I will get 300 CVs for a job. Am I going to look through all 300 CVs? Yes. Am I going to spend a lot of time in 300 CVs? No. We have what we call the 10-second glance. In 10 seconds, I'm going to make up my mind. I'm going to look at this CV further, or no. If it goes into the no, forget about it. You're finished. Look into it further. Okay, there's something there. So, presentation is important, but substance is more important. Yeah? When I look at a CV, I talked earlier about what my researcher looked for in a CV. No, I look for something different. How do they express themselves? Do they have what I call gravitas? Do they understand what the job is? Does the job description match their CV? Now, as we said earlier, there are certain companies that will sell you for $100, 100 dirhams, $100, a template CV. No. Your CV, you should have your CV refreshed every 3 months, and your CV should be specific to that application, to that job description. I can't emphasize that enough. It's very, very important. Yeah? Somebody talked about 2 P's earlier. I'll give you another 2 P. Poor preparation, poor performance. Yeah? If you invest the time in looking at the job description and matching, highlighting where the job description and your CV merge, that's going to get you the job interview. Best, as I said, is the hybrid style. Yeah? You list your achievements. That's where you try and match the job description. List your achievements, then go into the chronological, I've worked for such and such. Very important. Yeah? It's got to be a Word document. You see all these fancy CVs with, they've got all sorts of pie charts and stuff. If your CV is going to a major company, with artificial intelligence nowadays, it's highly unlikely that someone will see your CV. It'll be scanned first for a percentage by artificial intelligence, which will rate your CV 20%, 30%, 40% match. There are tricks to get around it, keywords, etc., etc., etc. But at the end of the day, you need to have it in Word, because most of these scanning systems can't accept PDF. Yeah? So a good Word format CV setting out your achievements, how those achievements match the job description, and the chronology of your career so far, that's going to be your most successful chance of getting an interview. Yeah? Again, spell check. If I see somebody that sent me a CV that has a basic spelling error in there, what does it tell me? It tells me they're too lazy, they don't really want this job. Yeah? Poor preparation, poor performance. Yeah? So, somebody said earlier they had a CV of 4 pages. Nah. No chance. Absolutely no chance. Yeah? 4 pages? No. We can talk about 4 pages when you come for the interview. 2 pages maximum. Absolutely 2 pages maximum. 1 page, if you can get the message over on 1 page, great. Yeah? Because remember, I'm going to take 10 seconds to look. Yes, no. Look at it again. So, okay. So, your CV's been successful. You're going for the interview. Again, numbers. There will be, for a recruitment agency, between 50 and 300 applicants. You are one of the 5 or 10 maximum are the amount of people that will be invited for interview. Yeah? So, we've got the 2 pieces of paper. How do you match the job description? That's going to be the basis for our discussion. I've looked at it. I know probably more about you than you know about me. That is poor preparation. You should know all about me before you go in. You should know about the company that you're being interviewed for. Yeah? Preparation, preparation, preparation. You should know about the people in the company. I was impressed by our previous speaker talking about the person that knew had contacted 7 people. That's someone that wants a job. You know, that's not somebody that's going to waste my time by not knowing what they want. Okay, you know, they're not interested. Fine. You know, why are they here? Why waste my time? Time is the most important thing that we all have. Yeah, it's very valuable. Recognize it, both yours and the person that's doing the interviewing. Yeah? JD, we can't emphasize this enough. You need to know what you're talking about. As an accountant, you also need to know the employer. How are they doing? What kind of accountancy system are they using? What are the results? What does the balance sheet look like? What was the profits? You know, what's their business? All of these things you need to know before you go in. These are topics of discussion for you to go on. Yeah? How do you match the job description? It's obvious. Yeah? Okay. So, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. 2 P's again. Yeah? So let's talk about it. What's the basics? We've just talked about it. Who's the employer? What's the balance sheet like? Etc., etc., etc. You can find all of this. You don't need me to talk about this. Yeah? You can find all of this on the internet. Never be late. Time is important. I can't emphasize that enough. Never, ever be late. So, okay, 10 most popular questions. Tell me about yourself. We've already had that in a previous, one of our previous speakers. Tell me about yourself. You know, short, concise, but more importantly, tell me about yourself. Well, I'm here today because I want this job. That's the best introduction you can have on a tell me about yourself. Yeah? What do you enjoy most about your current job? Well, as an accountant, what do you enjoy most about your current job? Perfect answer. I enjoy the contribution of helping the company grow and be profitable. Yeah? What was your current last boss like? What's your current boss like? Never ever criticize. Never, never. Interestingly, one of the figures that came up, 55% of people want to change their job or leave because they don't like their current boss. Yeah? What was your current boss like? He was a special person. Yeah? What do you know about our company? Well, we've already done that briefing already. But the more you know, the more impressed the interviewer will be. Why do you want this job? Well, again, think about how you've matched your job description to your CV. Well, I'm really interested, you know, this is a treasury job. I'm really interested in treasury, blah, 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 blah. Yeah? you know, prepare yourself for this. Think about before, you know, the amount of people that come into me for an interview and I ask them a question and you can see they haven't prepared. They don't have their answer. You know, sit in front of I know this sounds childish, but look at the questions that you're going to be asked. Practice. Think, how am I going to answer? If they ask that question, how am I going to answer it? What's going to be my answer? And don't just leave it there. Sit in front of the mirror and practice. Because, remember, part of the interview as well is communication. And the better you can communicate, the more your personality comes across. Personality is important as well as experience. So, what are your greatest strengths? I'm sure we've all got different strengths. I play cricket, you know, my golf is good, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, but, you know, it's very important that you maximize these. And the next question, of course, what's your greatest strength? Now, if you go on the internet, you will get smart answers like, you know, my greatest strength is my ability to adapt, etc. For the following question, what's your greatest weakness? You'll get the humorous answer, chocolate. Or I didn't put a limit on my wife's credit card. Yeah? Yeah, fine, but, you know, try and minimize it. You know, keep it as brief and as short as possible and turn it around. You know, okay, well, people say that my greatest weakness is I tend to focus, be specific, spend too much time on something. But that means that my results are very accurate. Turn that weakness into a strength. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Best answer I've ever had? Your job looks really good. I'd like to be there. Yeah? My view in that one was, well, I'm not going to hire him. He's after my job. But, you know, it's a chance for you to outline where you see yourself in 5 years' time. You know? So think very, very hard about that answer. You know, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Again, the answer to that depends on what stage of your career and what age you are and what your aspirations are. I mean, for me, I'm 68 years old. You know, my aspirations is to be, 5 years' time, to be given the same speech to you. You know, if I can live for another 5 years, great. But, you know, if you're 20 years old, yeah, well, I want to explore the world. I want to get into an international auditing company like KPMG, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But have a clear answer ready. Now, what salary are you going to be expecting to be paid? This is a crunch question. Depending on who is asking it. If it's a recruiter, yeah, tell them the truth. But be, how shall I put it, realistic in your expectation. If you just come out of audit, you want to get into business, you know, your salary as an audit, and correct me if I'm wrong, but your salary as an audit senior should be somewhere about 10,000 dirhams. Correct? Is that the sort of market rate? Junior auditor, etc. Yeah. Don't go saying I want 30,000 dirhams, because he's going to strike you off the list anyway. Salary, my expectation is 10 to 15,000, but I'm more interested in the opportunity. I'm more interested in the company. I'm starting off. You know, I've got no responsibilities. I have to pay my rent, etc., etc. What do you think is fair? If it's an employer that's asking you the question, again, who is asking the question? Is it the HR person? Because if it is, 9 times out of 10, they're trying to save a little bit in their budget. and so possibly not pay you the market rate and turn around to the boss, I've got this really good employee and he cost 5%, 10% less than our budget. Yeah? If it is the chief accountant that's asking, yeah, he wants to know two things. One, are you worth the money that he's prepared to pay? And two, are you going to make a contribution and make life easy for him? So, your answer, how much do you expect to be paid? The best answer to that question is, well, I'm sure that you pay the market rate that matches my qualifications, experience, and what the job is. Yeah? Of course, there's always you can ask a question with a question. Well, what were you thinking of paying me? So, next, tough questions. You will get people that are interviewing that will be aggressive, that will give you tough questions. I remember seeing a very good example of an interview where the guys were walking in. It wasn't for an accountant's position. I'm sure this video has been on YouTube, where the guy says, okay, take this pencil, write something on that board. And there's about 10 different people come in, and finally the last guy, who's the smart guy, goes up and writes something. Bump. But, the point of the video was, the guy was trying, by asking this question, the guy was trying to find out how aware you were. When you get an aggressive interviewer, they're trying to find out how aware you are, how you react to situations. I remember once I can only say he was a giant. I had this guy that was 6'8", and he was built like one of these doors. And I sent him for an interview, and the interviewer was tough on him. And honestly, when the guy called me after the interview, he was crying. He said, oh, this guy was so tough. He was asking me such questions. And I'm saying, well, you won't get the job because look at how you've reacted. You should, if he's being tough with you, you be tough with him. One of the questions that one of the questions that he asked was, I don't think you can do this job. Why are you here? It wasn't a statement. It was to see a reaction. The reaction he was hoping for or expecting was, well, I think you're wrong, and let me explain why. So, before you answer a question, think about it. Why are they asking me this question? Why are they being tough? What reaction are they looking for? So, speak clearly. Pause. You can ask a question to clarify. Don't admit to significant weaknesses. Don't get defensive. Don't get adversarial. Handle it in a calm and cool manner. Always, always, always. If you feel that it's becoming personal, bring it down. Can I ask why you asked that question? One question you never ask, are you going to give me the job? So, don't be drawn into criticizing anyone. Yeah, that's the biggest no-no. Yeah? Oh, my former boss, etc. The people I worked with, the organization. No, be positive. Bright new future. Okay, so what's next? The interview's over. As I've said, don't ask him. Please don't ask him, have I got the job? Will you consider me? how many people are being interviewed for this job, etc., etc., etc. The only interest is you. Yeah? The fact he's interviewed 5 or 10 other people doesn't make any difference. You have to be the best. Be the best, you'll get the job. Yeah? A week later, I'm getting a phone call. I haven't heard anything yet. As a recruiter, you haven't heard from me because I haven't heard from the client yet. He's either still interviewing, he's trying to make up his mind, he's not quite sure, etc., etc., etc. Yeah? One of the truths of recruitment, yeah? I will not tell you you haven't got the job until the guy who's got the job has signed the deal, has started work, has got his visa. Yeah? Yeah? Sorry, because anything can happen in those 14 days, 1 month. His company won't accept the offer, won't accept his resignation, they'll make him another offer. How would you feel if I got back to you after a week and said, you didn't get the job? And then I come back to you 3 weeks later and say, well, the guy didn't take it for any such reason. Would you still be interested? Nah, they didn't like me the first time. Why should I go the second time? Yeah? So, be patient. Yeah? If you're unsuccessful, always ask for feedback. Yeah? Why did I, can you, please advice. Why did I not get the job this time? Now, I will, again, plain truth here. If you're asking that of an employer, of their HR department, you may get a response. If you ask a recruiter, nah, sorry, I'm on to my next commission. Yeah? I've got my next assignment, I need to get the money. But that's the accountant's fault because he's told the CEO, look, we can get this recruiter to work on a no cure, no pay basis. So they'll only get paid if they're successful. So, fine. If it's a retained assignment where the recruiter is actually being paid money up front, then you can expect to get some feedback. But if it's a no cure, no pay assignment, forget it. It just won't happen. So, any questions? I see one hand at the back.
Good morning, Ian.
Good morning.
Very, very insightful session. Thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
Yeah, as a woman, many women come up to me and ask, most of the time they have a gap in their CVs. How does one handle that, especially being a woman?
Well, I think you've got the perfect, the perfect answer, yeah? Which is, I improved my life experience by not only managing my husband, but the children as well. Yeah? Which is far more stressful and far more difficult than just doing some monthly reporting.
Just to add up to this, if the CVs are scanned by artificial intelligence today, then these CVs, do they get any reference or they are just
Okay, well, I stand to be corrected on this because when it comes to technology, I'm a dinosaur, yeah? But my understanding is that the recruiter or the HR department will weigh certain things within the job description by percentage, yeah? And the scanner, or the artificial intelligence, will scan initially. Again, within artificial intelligence, as they get more data, then it changes the balances. But initially, the data is weighed against certain key parameters or words, which are in the job description. Yeah? Which is, again, very important, why you match your CV to the job description. Because that will then give a percentage of suitability. Yeah? And they will say, okay, I want to see all the CVs that are 65% and above suitable based on this. Keyword, for instance, treasury, monthly reporting, SAP experience, etc., etc., etc. Yeah?
Good morning. Yeah. Thank you for your sharing experience. We have seen a lot of transparencies expected from the candidates, but not from the employer or this one, because so many do and don'ts for the candidates, but when it comes to the employer, there are very few. Because you've seen, like, you know, if you want feedback, you get a standard, you get answers very standard. So you're saying all these things. So what is your experience, you know, when you say that candidate should be having a transparency, but the employer is completely lack of transparency? What is your views on that?
It's a bit like being married. You have to accept the facts of life.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's, how can I put it? You know, there are certain things that you can change and certain things that you can't change. Yeah? And it's a fact of life. You know, are you going to go back to that employer again? I mean, okay, there's a very important point here that the world is changing. We are undergoing this transformation in work where the balance of an employer's image is becoming much, much more important. And so with this career shuffle, as they call it nowadays, you know, people are getting, it's not the case of, as we were talking about earlier, you apply for a job, you want for a job, and thank you very much. It's now a case of questions are being asked. Well, okay, during the interview, you're asking the questions, well, what's your sustainability policy? What maternity leave? What's your policy on maternity leave? Remote working from home, will I be allowed? You know, the balance is still not there. It's still leaning heavily towards the employer, but it is changing. And those employers that are not aware of their image and culture being responsive are the ones that are going to find it in 5 or 10 years' time harder to find the best employees. And, you know, the thing is, well, with this change, and especially in accountancy, that we're seeing, that we were talking earlier about the cloud and artificial intelligence and digitalization, it's going to become more and more difficult to get the best employees because they're going to be the younger ones that have adapted more and are going to be more demanding of employers. So, anybody else? Or I think I'm over time, but thank you very much.
Many thanks, Mr. Yan, for letting us know the mistakes we made during job hunting, and it is good to know the answers of some straight questions. I'll do take care of that, and my boss is really good. Let us have...
Is he here?
No, he must be watching. Let us have a big round of applause for our speaker. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite our chairman, vice chairman, and treasurer to the stage to present a memento as appreciation. Now, the most interesting topic of our chairman, dressing. Do you think that wearing a suit is good enough for an interview? No, not just wearing a suit. It must fit as well. One of the biggest mistakes we generally made that we buy a suit to interview and don't bother to have it altered or fitted. Like my size keep increasing, resulting that I need to invest new suits. And it is good to learn from our chairman that he forced me, not he has forced physically or personally, motivated me to buy new suits. Thank you, chairman, for that. And the biggest reason is tie, which I myself observed multiple times. Many of us are experts, but many of us, we request any one of our friend to knot a tie and then keep using that tie for last 10 years. So that we need to change. Appropriate dressing is one of the focused area while approaching an interview or a client as well. Dressing plays a vital role, and our next speaker, Ms. Valentina, will share how we can dress to impress and why it should be respectful. Please note, our speaker is going to share dress to impress professionally, not for marriage purposes. And to introduce Ms. Valentina, I would like to invite our Executive Committee member, C.A. Rishi Chawla, to the stage.
Thank you, Secretary Saab, for such a wonderful session you have done since morning. Thank you for that. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Ian, for such a wonderful session. I'm sure a lot of people have questions, so they'll approach you one-to-one. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Valentina, who is going to talk to us about how to dress to impress. Actually, before walking to the stage, I was a little concerned because it's about dressing, so I have to really look appropriate, so I'm sure I'll get some marks there. Our speaker is going to introduce this important topic, but personally I feel when I dress is that dressing is all about self-care and knowing that you should first of all feel yourself important. That's how the world looks at you. So I'll go into the introduction. Valentina is an Italian senior designer with 15 years of international and GCC design and creative direction experience. She has strong experience in coordinating and managing fashion activities, solid understanding of various fashion and trend forecasting abilities, ability to design for different consumers and end users, consumer behavior, market research, gap analysis, branding and marketing. There are a lot of things she can do. And without taking much time, I'd like to welcome Valentina on the stage with big round of applause, please. Stage is all yours, Valentina.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for having me here, and thank you for being here today. So, as they have introduced me, today I would like to talk about how to dress for work and why it is important, and regarding the first impression, and then I will have an overview. Sorry, I don't know. Okay, sorry. And then I would like to give you an overview on how to dress for a business professional work environment, for starting from men and then going towards women. And then practical ideas on how to build your wardrobe in an effective way, both from a styling point of view, but also from a pocket point of view. So, I'm sorry, can I have the microphone, please? So, to recognize So to connect with Mr. Sina and also our chairman, what they said previously, dressing at work, why it does matter. It matters because whether you're hunting for a job or you're looking for a promotion, your company will always look at you, the way you present yourself, because you represent your company. You are the face of your company. So your client or the public or your colleagues, they should see in you the image that your company wants to give, and also they can feel a sense of trust that you are in control also of your own image. So that it means that to find success, you need to give importance not just the way you behave, but also the way you carry yourself and the way you dress. First impression, our chairman already mentioned that. First impression is very important, and unfortunately, in our world, the first impression matters, and it matters the way you look. People form their opinions and attitude towards you based on appearance, which it's regardless the way you look physically, but the way you present yourself and carry yourself, what you wear. And regardless of personal style, you should adapt your image based on society norms, but also in this case, especially based on your company standards. If you fail to do so, unfortunately, you will reduce your opportunities in your career, but also on your personal endeavors. So, personally, I would like to suggest an exercise. So before you think about yourself, I think it's something that we always do, more or less. I personally do it. And so we need to visualize our personal appearance, ourselves, in the position that we want to occupy or achieve. So the exercise that I would ask to do is to close your eyes and imagine a person, a professional person that you admire, or a person that is in a position that you would like to have. So a person of which you want to steal the job. So stop and think about this person. Think about the way he or she is dressed, the hair, the attitude. This will project the image of yourself in the future. So the key is to dress for the job you want. Dress for the person that you ideally want to be. So this way, you will project your image. And why is this? Because clothes, we talked about the first impression. So clothes not just influence the opinion that others have of us, but also the other way around. So clothes, psychology studies, both from 2015, but also 2006, they have recognized that dressing in a formal wear directly affects the way of thinking of the wearers. And also, and I think that if we think about it, we all know that. We all know that when we dress in a certain way, formally, our attitude changes. When you get ready for an event, a wedding, a night out, you all feel good, you feel beautiful, you feel ready, and that reflects also on the way you behave. You are more confident. You know that you are in control. In fact, and I found it actually curious when I learned about it, the verb to dress originally comes the Vulgar Latin that means to make straight. And in a sense, when you dress up and you dress formally, you become straight, your posture changes. This is like a funny parallel, I think. So what do we need to do? So first of all, we need to understand what is the code, the dress code of your company. The dress code of your company is basically what your organization considers acceptable to wear at work. After you have determined what is the dress code and you have visualized the person that you want to be, then you need to stop and look at your wardrobe. So have a look at your wardrobe and see what are the pieces that you actually need to form a small collection, let's say, of the pieces that you will wear at work, so that you are organized and you don't need to spend much money to go around and build the whole collection and buy several outfits, but you already have prepared that studying it. So basically you would need to set yourself up by establishing some staple pieces that you can imagine wearing several times and interchange in order to form at least 3 outfits. Going back to the code, so you are accountants, so usually the business professional code is the most conservative office dress code, and this is the everyday office wear for industries like law, finance, banking, and government, which is the field that all of you will work in. So this is a very traditional code, and it gives a message that you are smart, efficient, ambitious, and you're ready to be productive and to maximize the results. So going back to building your capsule, you start, of course, from what? From the suit. So a business suit is a garment that is made out of the same fabric. So the jacket matches with the trousers. To start building your collection, you would obviously start with a suit that has a dark color. So I would personally start with the navy blue, because it's a very flexible color that can match with the different colors of the shirt and ties. So you would have a classic suit, ideally. It's your first suit, so you would want to wear it as much as you can, and you would want to match it with many outfits. So ideally, it should be plain. Then you would need another suit because you need to change. So ideally, your second suit should be dark charcoal or black. Black is another color that matches with many other shades, and it also can be worn in more elevated situations like formal occasions such as weddings or soirée, or sadder situations like funerals. So again, which suit it's better for you? So my predecessor talked about fitting. Fitting is fundamental. So you may buy an amazing suit made out of a very precious fabric, very expensive, but if the fit is wrong, it would look very bad on you, very bad on everybody, and it's a waste of money, and it will affect also your appearance. You will look sloppy, you will look like you didn't pay any attention, while actually you spent a lot of money buying it. So in general, we can reduce the suits into 3 templates of fits, and their name comes from the countries where they have originated. So we have the British, American, and Italian suit. So the British cut. The British cut is, I would say, the most friendly because it suits to most body types, and it comes from the military suit, and it makes the average man, like a lot of men, look leaner, straighter, and more muscular and regal. You can say that because, you know, when you see military men, they all have that appearance and look, and they all have the sort of shape of the suit. So the characteristics are the arm mold that is a little bit higher, the tapered waist, 2 buttons, and side vents on the back. The Italian cut, instead, it suits better men that have a smaller frame, that are a bit slimmer and not too tall, and they don't have too much broader shoulders. So again, you have the 2 button stands, but it's higher than the British cut. You don't have any vent on the back and no pocket flaps. And it has a very narrow waist. So for sure, it flatters a body shape that is a bit slimmer. Another particularity is that the trousers, they don't have any breaks, so the length is the right one. There is no other room in the length of the pants. The American cut is the one that is recognizable by the boxy and looser fit. So therefore, who is heavy set, it would favor this kind of shape because the straight lines of the jacket fall better on their body. So we can say that it has 3 button stands, a lower armhole, it has the center vent in the back, and again, you have the trousers length that gives more room. So again, it fits better someone that is more heavy set or that wants to be more comfortable. After we have picked for the suits, we can go ahead buying our shirts. So for a business professional attire, you should always go with the classic button-up shirts. And selecting your shirts, you need to make sure that they look good when you are fully buttoned up, and you want the collar to have some structure to hold the tie. Coming to the tie is the part where you can add some of your personality and personal taste to the look. You can express your mood, your emotions through the tie, and if you think about it, in some situation, a particular color of the tie can express political view, if you think about United States politics. Your tie should always conceal the shirt collar. That's why when you wear it, you should tighten up until it conceals the whole collar. Then we need to go to pick our shoes. So it's a very critical element, I think, shoes, because it can break your whole look. So the most commonly worn business shoes are the Oxfords, the first ones. But you can also add boots, loafers, or lace-ups. And if you start building your fashion capsule, you should start focusing on black, because black goes with everything. It goes with the navy blue suit, with the gray suit, with your black, but also with the brown suit. Then accessories. Accessories are very important. They are the small part that change your outfit, but they add the final touch, the belt. A lot of times, I notice men that sometimes they wear a very nice suit, but then they wear this very chunky belt and as a status symbol with the logos. It's not really, how can I say, business professional. So it's always better to wear a thinner belt, because the thinner the belt is, the more classy and professional it is, as well as the buckle. So an average dress belt measures between 1 1/4 or 1 3/4 inches, and usually are either black or brown, but always the color needs to match the color of the shoes. You can then play around with other accessories like the pocket square or the cufflinks. So the pocket square, it can harmonize or contrast your looks. So it can match your shirt, or it can break the look. So if you are a little bit more flamboyant regarding style, you can definitely have fun with the square pocket. And the rule not to have these redundancy of colors is that the secondary color of the pocket square should be the primary color of the tie, for example. So you see here in this example, you have black is the color of the tie, but it's not a black square pocket, right? And also it has a funny contrast between the stripes of the tie and the checks of the square pocket. So it's personal again, but it should not be the protagonist. The accessories should never be the protagonist in your outfit, and your outfit itself should never come first your personality. It should enhance it. It should not cover it. The same thing for the cufflinks. Cufflinks are a stylish touch if you wear a French cuff, but again, they should be subtle. Here we see some examples of very nice suits worn in different ways. So as we talked about the shoes, you can notice that black shoes, they can go very well with the navy, or brown, that it can go very well with the charcoal. You see a more traditional style and more flamboyant. I would make a special note regarding socks. Socks sometimes they can be very tricky. The rule is for a business attire, socks should never be sporty and should never be white. Please don't. An easy thing is to match the socks to the trousers. It's always easier to match the socks to the trousers, or in general, to wear a tone darker or a tone lighter than your suit. Here we can see someone that is wearing checks or pinstripes. Regarding patterns, the rule in general is to go smaller. So to avoid mistakes, try always to be subtle and go smaller. Again, you have to remember that you want to give the appearance of someone that takes care of themselves and of the job and cares. But it's not about fashion or being attractive or be fashionable, because this is not what you're there for. You're there to do the job and to give an impression of power, of being in control. So regarding women, so the rules that they apply to women's wear as well. So we are talking about business professional attire, so women should be professional as well. So you work in an office and you are required to wear a suit. But regarding women, suits are always preferable. But at the same time, the rules are more flexible for women. So you can also wear polished separates at work. So it means separate jackets and trousers. Again, the message that you are conceiving is you need to be confident, but you are, yes, approachable and knowledgeable. Again, the dress should not cover your capabilities and your personalities. It's not a matter of being attractive or fashionable. A good thing would be, sometimes I think about people should be curious what I do for work. It's a very nice feeling, I think, when you are so confident in yourself, you're wearing a nice suit or your nice outfit, and people look at you, maybe not just because you look good, but they wonder, I wonder what this person does. They look so professional. Here we have some examples of the suits. So you shouldn't think just about the simple and navy or black suit, pants and trousers, but you can also go fashionable. So you can play definitely with the fit and with the colors. Regarding fits, for women, there are no rules such as for men's suits. You can play with lengths, the fits of the trousers, they can be wider, they can be shorter, so you have more freedom compared to men. Regarding jackets, you can wear either jackets or blazers. So you can wear a double-breasted blazer that it's longer and it's in tweed, or you can wear a shoulder collar jacket or a 2-ounce jacket to revive your style, or a cardigan, for example. If you wear a very nice cardigan in a very nice and neat fabric, long, that maybe can cover your curves sometimes, that would make you comfortable, it's always nice. Regarding tops, the best choice is, as usual, a button-down or a button-up shirt, as you can see in this look, but also a plain top that it's not too revealing and that covers your shoulders is also a good choice. Obviously, you can go with patterns, but also solid or small details. Once again, even for women, when you go for patterns or flowers or checks or embellishments, go small. It should not be too much. It should not be distracting. Then we have examples for for dresses. You can wear dresses, but once again, the rule applies that you need to cover your shoulders. They should not be too much form-fitting or too revealing. You can wear them with your jacket or blazer, and the length should always be above the knee, never shorter than the knee. Of course, nowadays women, they wear a lot trousers. So trousers are ideal because they make you feel comfortable. And when you are comfortable, you're also more productive. You don't focus about, oh my God, this is too tight or too revealing. So think about comfort, not just for women, but also for men. Comfort is also one of the priorities. And this is why fitting is also very important. So you can opt for tailored or wet-fitted trousers. You can have a crease in the middle of your trousers, but they are not mandatory. Of course, if you want to deliver a more refined or tailored image, you can go for crease, but they're not essential at all. Skirts, again, the same rule for dresses, they apply for skirts. You should go for something that it's right above the knees, never shorter than that, and they need to be neat and conservative. Always make sure that your top or shirt is tucked in the skirt as well as in the trousers. Shoes. The shoes for women, they're very important as well. So you can go with pumps, ballerinas, or loafers. When it comes to heels, avoid excessive heights because, first of all, it's uncomfortable, but again, you should not give a too attractive look if you want, but it's always convenient to wear shorter heels, and it's always best to keep the toes covered. So avoid sandals, avoid open-toes shoes, because again, we are in a business professional environment. So we saw that women can have a little bit of more freedom regarding the way they dress. So nowadays, going back to men, the style of business has changed a little bit in the present years, also after the pandemic. Thousands of companies have adapted and they have a more relaxed professional style. So depending on the industry, they can wear that, but usually they wear the business casual attire during the casual Friday. So this casual Friday is a bit of a tricky situation. Sometimes people that are used to dress so formally, they don't really know how to manage business casual. The casual Fridays, it doesn't mean that you go to work and you dress how you would dress at home, for example. You're still at work, you're more comfortable, but you are still in a business. You're still the face of the business. If we want to give a definition of business casual, is a classic, clean-cut, and well put together look where you don't need to wear a full suit. So we can also define business casual as something semi-formal. Here you see George Clooney. I bet everybody likes George Clooney and his look. And it's a perfect example of semi-formal. So it's a toning down of the business professional attire. But again, you should not go too far. You want to make sure that your business attire is consistent and as well as your professional persona. So you should not be one professional person from Monday to Thursday, and then when Friday comes, you become someone else. You can keep that person from outside the job, but again, being the face of your company, you should keep a certain consistency. So if you work in a bank, a law firm, a government agency, or as an accountant, auditor or consultant, unfortunately, your working environment is the most conservative of them all. So your style, even if it's casual, should be conservative as well. So you might avoid the tie, but you need to keep your jacket on, at least for the half of the day, and you should avoid jeans, except if you go out for after-work business events. So to expand your capsule, so we talked about our capsule, that we got our suits, we got our 2 suits, we got 3 shirts, the shoes, and the tie. So this is our first capsule. We can interchange already all those pieces, so we can wear them several times, looking as if we are wearing something totally different. So this is also to make it cost effective. You can add to it 2 neutral trousers. Chinos are perfectly okay nowadays in business casual, and they can be light gray or khaki. And those 2 colors, they would go perfectly with the jackets of your suits. So as you can see, it's a mix and match logic, so that you would not have to keep buying suits over and over again. Then you would add a sport coat. Sport coat is something that is not completely dress up, so it can have a larger print. So again, if you think about patterns, the bigger the pattern is, the more sporty it is. So for all those times that, like casual Friday, you don't need to wear the suit, you can go ahead and wear your sport coat. And then you can add more texture, more graphics, and again, it goes and matches back to your lighter colored trousers, but also with your darker colored trousers. Here you can have some examples of how to mix and match. So you started with 2 solid suits. Then now if you add your sport jacket, again you have a totally different outfit, and you can play around. And when you see the looks, you can always tell there is a color story. If you look at these looks, there's always a connection, like you would see the blue in the print that goes back in the trousers, and then it changes tone for the tie and lighter for the shirt. Same thing in the third look, where you can see the same touch of blue for the checks and the tie. And the last one is a more, let's say, young and trendy look, where he plays with the fits. So other ideas to make your business casual outfit more modern, and again, this depends a lot on your work environment. is to, instead of wearing your shirt dress, you can change your shirt and exchange it for a polo or a t-shirt or a sweater. But always the rule is to wear the fabric, the fabric. The fabric should not be a cheaper fabric, should be a nice knit. So if you want to get a polo, for example, opt for a knit polo instead of a cotton polo. That would give an image of refinement, and it will look good even in business meetings. Another possibility to kind of make it more personal through the shirt is to change the color. So I can see that you can wear also the Korean color, so it doesn't have the proper color. Golden rules. So there are general rules. So I gave you now an overview of how to build a business professional wardrobe, not buying too many pieces, to style them up, mix and match, and the general rules also for women's wear. But there are general rules that you need to keep in mind. So first of all, you need to care. We talked about it. So this is the #1 rule also when you wear something. So if you want to be taken seriously, you also need to show that you care. So if you want to project a powerful image, you need to start with your appearance, with your business attire. So that means that you would need to take those few minutes to think about the person you want to be, to project that image, and to feel empowered by the way you dress. So take a few minutes more, wear something that is tied, no creases in your shirt. Think about those small things that we give for granted, but unconsciously, when we see someone that wears something that is creased or something with a stain, we don't have a good impression of that person. This is reality. And it doesn't take long. It only takes very few minutes. The second rule is to try to invest. Invest in timeless clothes for the best quality that you can afford. So this is not to feed the fashion industry. This is because the quality lasts in time. So I give you an example of how many pieces you actually need for your business attire. You actually need only 2 suits, 2 trousers, 3 shirts, and 1 optional sport coat. So especially in pieces like your suit, your shoes, you need to invest those monies. You know that those pieces, they will last a long time, unless you gain weight or or you lose weight, but that usually doesn't happen. So going back to the fit, so you invest, you're uncomfortable, you're distracted. You can also buy something that is not extremely expensive, but you can buy something that has a very nice cloth. It's not the perfect fit, but you can go to the tailor and have it adjusted. Here in UAE or in India, there are many tailors, and they are not very expensive. In general, to understand what is casual and what is professional and what is classy, use the more rule. So when it comes to choose, always pick what is less. So the more rule is that the more things a piece of clothing has, the more it is casual. So the more colors it has, the more it's casual. The more graphics a t-shirt has, if you want to pick a t-shirt for your casual Friday, the more it is casual. So always go for subtle. The more trendy, the more details, it's more casual. So again, take those few minutes, think about it, think about who you want to be, your aspiration, and trying to project it, not just mentally, but in your actions, but also in the way you carry yourself and in the clothes. Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's really amazing to see so many designs of the suits. I hope everybody is wondering whether, rather they are happy that wives are not here. Thank you very much, Miss Valentina, for letting us know that dressing is the right attire for an interview, which shows that you are serious about the job. This is also one more important aspect. When you have professional dressing, it shows that yes, you are really serious. It also demonstrates an understanding of the corporate culture. Let us have a big round of applause for Miss Valentina. Thank you. Now I would like to invite Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Sri Rishi Chawla to the stage to present a memento. Now next hot topic is Emiratization. So process of, any idea when this process of Emiratization in private sector started in UAE? No one? At least just Google whenever we are sending circular. Yeah, 1999 it started, but officially in private sector it started with Ministerial Decree number 176 in 2009, which was later replaced by another Ministerial Decree number 212 in year 2018. Recently, UAE Cabinet has passed one or approved one resolution on 9th May 2022 about the increasing Emiratization by 2% annually for the big corporates or big business entities where they have more than 50 workers or more. There are various incentives as well they have announced so that businesses can cope up with the requirements. And have you heard about MOHRE, M-O-H-R-E? Yes, everybody heard about Ministry of Human Resources and Emiratization. They have developed a system called NAFIS, where every business, I believe, need to register to get the Emiratis. There are various myths and curiosities about ensuring Emiratization and how it will support businesses in the country. And to answer all such issues, today we have with us our guest speaker, who is an expert in Emiratization strategies, Ms. Fatima bin Musa Al Ghoni. And to introduce Ms. Fatima, I would like to invite our executive committee member, Ms. Malvika Kolera, to the stage.
Today, Emiratization is all over the news. We have seen many initiatives taken by the UAE government towards the Emiratization drive. And as a business, we are closely following the same. Today, we have one such important speaker among us who is closely involved and contributed her best towards this 50-year plan goal of UAE. To introduce Ms. Fatima, she is the head of Emiratization strategy at ADCB. Fatima manages the bank's overall approach to the Emiratization agenda set by the UAE Central Bank 2022. Prior to ADCB, Fatima led the National Talent Strategy and Programs at Expo 2020 Dubai, overseeing the integration of UAE national talent before, during and after the first ever World Expo in the region. Without taking much time, let's welcome Ms. Fatima on stage.
Assalamu alaikum, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, chartered accountants, good afternoon. I did not prepare much slides to talk about the subject, but I really enjoyed all the slides presented by the expertise before us. Before I start, I just wanted to say I'm very, very grateful for the 2 minutes of silence that was entertained early today morning because of the passage of our past president, Sheikh Khalifa. And also wanted to show how forward-thinking the people who put this chapter together and this program together, because I have never seen ever chartered accountant chapter, such a serious profession, welcoming a fashion, or probably trying to educate and create awareness about dressing an outfit. I actually enjoy fashion, and I have learned a lot just sitting there. And I was wondering if I was wearing a suit, probably I'd be looking at what color my socks is and if I really fit or not. Otherwise, I go to the bathroom quickly and flip it. But also to bring in the subject of Emiratization, it was also surprising for me because when I spoke to the chairman over the phone and saw the excitement, I said, why would a chartered accountant want to learn about Emiratization? But that actually shows how forward-thinking this chapter is and that chartered accountants can be. In my profession as a strategist of Emiratization, not a lot of people think about the budget and how impactful it is and how important it is to run such an initiatives, because Emiratis are quite a cost, especially when you run programs on such a magnitude. Would this allow me to ask you a question? How many of you have Emiratis friends, by a show of hands? I don't have. And how many of you, as a chartered accountant, get engaged with Emiratization projects at your business right now? Oh, wonderful. Right now, you gotta get really, really involved. But I'm not gonna go to the nitty-gritty of how chartered accountants, but I'll be happy to answer with whatever I really know, and maybe I learn more with you throughout this process. You have seen 2 days ago the announcement of the Muhri, Ministry of Emiratizations, about how serious the country is when it comes to Emiratization. But this enforcement didn't come just like that. The first time Emiratization was introduced to the law was in 1980. And if you go back to the federal decree, you will realize giving priorities for Emiratis to get grant jobs. In 1999, they created Tanmiya. I don't know if you're familiar with Tanmiya, but I'm sure, Ian, you have heard about them. Tanmiya was a government put together initiative to support Emiratis to be upskilled, to be accepted at the private sector. And then, I believe in 2004, the first time quota was introduced to the banking sectors, insurance companies, and some tourism industries to encourage them, between 2% to 4%, to encourage them to have more Emiratis within their household. Unfortunately, that was not really taken seriously, although there were some businesses who really did well, and there are some businesses who really just brushed it over the shoulders. In 2006, the government became very, very much serious about termination of Emiratis, and also at the same time, they introduced the law of granting the right of people of determinations. How many of you have a person of determinations at work today? Good. And then initiatives after initiatives, government accelerators at the Emirates Towers in 2017, how many of you have heard about them? Granting 1,000 jobs over 100 days. That was also another initiative. In 2019, they also put a 30 million dirhams budget to train Emiratis, to train 18,000 Emiratis. And 2020, or to end of 2021, NAFIS came into the picture. And NAFIS is not only an initiative by Muhri, it's an initiative of the leadership of the UAE, who were tired of entrusting the private sectors and also the government entities they allocated and the money they spent to make sure private sector is including Emiratis. And it's a huge budget in billions, and a very promising thousands of jobs to be granted the next 5 years. And I'm not very surprised to read the news the past 2 days, because I was saying when it's going to be enforced. Having said that, I don't want to bore you a lot about this subject of Emiratization, but I'll tell you what is it really interesting for you. Let me ask you a question. How many of you know what is the population of the UAE right now? What is it? 10 million, nearly 10 million, 10 million plus. How is the percentage of Emiratis across this 10 million? 10%, 11%, 9%. Oh, the economy is growing right now after the COVID, so we're welcoming a lot of other workers coming from across the world. We're also making an effort of granting residency and migrating people to the UAE for the first time. Guess how many Emiratis percentage in the workforce? 10%? 1%? It's actually a little bit more above 7%. So the local people of the country, who are 10% or 11% of the country, they make only 7% of the workforce household. Private sector, how many? 2%. 1%. A little bit more maybe. It's 3.7%. Actually, Emiratization is not only an agenda in the UAE, but also it's an agenda in the entire region of the Gulf. I traveled around the world, lived in Norway, Denmark, lived in France, and I have never seen a country who's very much eager, pushing so much their people to get a job and to be included in opportunities that the country gave to a lot of people from all the places around the world. And as an Emirati, I am grateful. I am not going to talk, play the drum of Emiratis. I'm half Indian, by the way, so for a lot of people to know. So I really appreciate diversity. My kids are Europeans. However, Emiratization stands at the heart of what I really do, and it's a passion. I'm passionate about it, and I'm sure in India, if you really wanted to contribute to the economy and to your country's household, you will feel the same. What I wanted to tell you today is Emiratization is not an easy subject, not easy setup, but let me go back again and say, I used to hire for the engineers for the Gulf states, plus Iran and Yemen. And there were 3 main countries were extremely challenging to have nationalization in. Could you guess which countries were, are? Kuwait, Qatar, and the UAE. And it's simply because the situation and the environment of the country and the wealth of the household made it very difficult for people to take whatever jobs. So these are the 3 countries I've noticed. I worked in Oman, by the way, and I have realized Omanis are probably 90% right now, and they grab anything. Bahrainis grab anything. Saudis also, they're quite good. Yemenis and Iranian, and I could see the eagerness. But my people are not less of eager. It's not like they're missing eagerness to work. They really want to work. Allow me to ask you these questions today. Okay, raise your hand if this is your first job. Not first job, second job, third job. Wonderful. Now, if I ask you, have you acquired the skills for the job before the job or after the job? After the job. 99% you acquire skills when you use your education at the workplace, right? How did you get the skill? Because you sat down on a chair in front of a computer and you have done magic and then you got the skill? Or someone must have really showed you how to do it and what to do? Do you remember your first mentor, first person who taught you something about chartered accountant? Did he expect you to do the job from the first day? One of the challenges we face in Emiratization is not only bringing Emiratis and attracting them to the job. A lot of people say Emiratization is all about programs, how many Emiratis you can bring, how many training you can spend on. It's not actually. 50% is only about acquisition, which you recruit the Emiratis you want for the job. And the other 50% is the Emiratization culture you have inside the organization, and each one of you is part of that culture. When I looked at the Emiratization and the generation of these days, because they're different than ours, I have realized the generation has changed really quickly with globalization and access to information and data science and all these kind of things. And I have realized Emiratis, once they graduate, they just want an opportunity. They just want to be trusted. And they want to trust you. They want to learn in the job. But maybe the culture and the environment doesn't really hold it very well. You see a lot of news and stats, and they're only blaming the fresh graduate. You're not doing enough. You're not studying enough. You're not learning enough. But actually, I think it's a bit unfair to put all the load in the Emiratis graduate. And even when they are giving a job, you give it to them very, very like task by task, and you're afraid to trust them on something very critical. I'll share with you a case study of the Expo 2020, and I'll do it very quickly, but there is a lot of learning in it, also with me, if you really wanted to handle an Emirati and deal with Emiratization in the future. I don't have to tell you it's by law and you have to, and it's the right thing to do, because I think you're mature enough to understand how serious business this is for the country. And it has to come from the heart, because we Emiratis also feel if it comes from your heart when you teach us and when you give us the opportunity and when you advise us. I know there is fear. They said always, I'll cancel your visa. Or I'll call someone, a brother in my police station to just snap you out of something or pump your car. Well, these are the taboos, but they are realities. Maybe it used to happen in the past, I don't know. But nowadays, I think fresh graduates, they look up to you, and they want to learn with you, and they want to be trusted in that. And I really have it with a proved case study. So when I was asked to do the Emiratization for the Expo, we never did an Expo, an event here before, so I didn't really want to copy anything from anywhere. So I did a little bit of research and looked at mega events outside the country. How did they do it? And I had a talk with Her Excellency, the Managing Director, and I said, oh, what's your aspiration, Your Excellency, when we talk about Emiratization, so I know which direction to take. And she says, Fatima, I'd like to create a legacy for the country out of this event. So whenever we have a mega event in the future, we have people in the country to hold it. And we don't really have to rely on 90% bringing expatriates to get this done with us. So what do you think we should do? And from that perspective, I think if you want to do Emiratization, you have to convince your business to believe in it and have a vision. Because that vision inspires not only the Emiratis, but also guide the internal culture. The vision we had is how can we create a talent, national talent, that can replicate the Expo experience in the future. And it did really, really magic. Because when you talk to Emiratis you want to hire with this vision, they say, oh, I'm in. I really want to be part of this economical growth. I want to put my hands into your hands and make something for my country. So the vision is very important. Now, let's talk about the mission. Because you can have the most beautiful vision in the world, and we can copycat Sheikh Mohammed. And, you know, in this country, we talk vision. When the 4-year-old or 5-year-old go to school, they talk vision too, because we look up to our leadership, and this is the way we are as a nation. So vision is very important. I think the mission has to be split between the two. The mission number one, if you want to do Emiratization, how can you grant opportunities for Emiratis to be part of your business? Be it person of determinations, be it an intern who's looking for an experience to graduate, be it somebody who's fresh graduate without any experience, be it somebody who lost his job, or somebody who's really would like to be part of the private fast sector, because not everybody works for the government is really like enjoying their growth. Opportunities lies within the private sector. So the mission is, how are you trying to be diversified and granting equal opportunities for Emiratis households around you? And be careful with diversity and women, because women are really rolling when it comes about Emiratization. And the fact is 75% of the women graduates from universities here give it all. And you know the rest of the story. The rest of the males, they go directly to national service, or they take a quick job after 18 with the army or the police. And that's why probably you miss them in the workforce. And actually, it is a demography problem right now. The mission number 2 is it's not enough that you bring these Emiratis into your workforce. It's extremely important you really grab them once they join. So you give them all the information and the tools and the SOPs to be able to do their jobs. And they need mentoring. Unfortunately, our education system taught our graduates to be told what to do. They were not taught in the traditional way or non-traditional way. They've been told what to do. So to change that mindset when they're at the workplace is a little bit challenging. So I would suggest that you deploy your patience and at the same time be very clear in terms of how would you like that person to be held hand. And the more you engage them, the best it is. So the other mission is how can you engage these Emiratis within the workforce? A lot of people would say Emiratis will come to you in the career fair or when they acquire for the job and say, how much are you going to pay me? How much do you pay me and I come, I join you? That perspective actually has changed because when I started interviewing people recently in the new generation, I have realized they don't want the money. They want the experience. They want the career growth. And I have been in companies where Emiratis been doing the same job 2 years, 3 years without a change. Maybe they add a little bit in their salaries to retain them, but the job doesn't change. And I've realized how important for them to feel the growth. So if you granted first year, second year, third year, and you say, oh, you are starting as an analyst, next 2 years will be a senior analyst, in 4 years you will be, in fourth year you will be it. But sometimes also company structure cannot hold changing in job titles and salaries, right? But I can grant you one thing, Emirati want to grow and learn. So if you think he reached his cap, please make sure you try to extend it by giving him exposures, giving him to access meetings with you, and stuff like that, because I see them really retained and staying not only for the money, but also for the growth opportunity you give them and the trust. Now, I'm not going to go back to the bad stereotyping of Emiratis because all of us, we know it, but I want to tell you one thing. Half of the responsibility is the environment, including the boss. So maybe if I were you, I would invest in acquiring Emiratis from outside, but also at the same time, I need to look inside and see how is my environment Emirati friendly, let's say, to do, because whatever runs with everybody else is not necessarily working for Emiratis, and unfortunately, a lot of misunderstanding happens. There is a challenge where fresh graduates complain about the manager doesn't teach them, doesn't give them, doesn't tell them. Well, in my point of view, I tell them, hey, wake up. This person has been hired or contracted to do a job. It's not part of his job to teach you. So maybe we can really humble our expectations and try to work with the manager and the mentor to teach us and give us that exposure. Unfortunately, we are born or we come from a household as an Emiratis, we think the world is paved for us. And I'm very grateful and thankful for the governments because they really, really take care of us. And also the new parents and the new parents of generation, they make our life easier. I am 18 and I already have a car and I have my parents spending on me. Why would I really want to go and work? At my time, when I got my first job, I had to drive 3 hours to my first career. I'm from Kelba and I had to drive to Abu Dhabi. And in my third year, I had to drive all the way to Oman. So the old days of challenges, trying to find a career and improve ourselves and need an income is gone. Now everything is provided by educated parents and an amazing welfare the government of the UAE offers. So with this, I just wanted to share with you these basics principles, if they're really, really helpful. And see how impactful it is in your budget when an Emiratization and HR say, oh, we need to do Emiratization because the government is after us. I sincerely think you should not do Emiratization out of fear and regulatory, but if you authentically believe in it, and you think this is a little bit part of what you would like to give back to this country, that will be really amazing, and it will last forever, and it will be truly, truly, truly like an honest effort, because I go back and I tell you, it is, we feel it, we feel you when you want to look after us, not out of duty and being scared, but also out of you being authentically wanting to give back to this country through Emiratization. I hope with that I conclude, and I'm not sure if you guys have any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fatima, for taking us through with the nitty-gritties of Emiratization. And yes, being in UAE as our Karm Bhumi, it is our responsibility to support the government and other stakeholders in the growth of the nation. Let us have a big round of applause for Ms. Fatima. I have a suggestion, if you may allow. There is a huge gap in the minimum salaries of expats and Emiratis. So if you can pass a resolution to increase our salaries.
I think in Denmark and Norway, they have amazing system, and I think Italy as well. If you start paying tax, you will get high salary.
So then you can create a level playing field. Nowadays, Emirati is minimum salary, let's say 12,000 dirhams. But for an accountant, we can see for a chartered accountant, salaries are ranging from 7 to 10,000. So make it at par. Then you will get more jobs. Thank you. Now I would like to invite our chapter chairman, vice chairman, and CA Malavika Kolera to present a memento to Ms. Fatima. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And one thing I really appreciate today, generally we see that after last speech, everybody start moving outside. But today it's good to see most of the people inside the hall. A big round of applause for everyone. Now it's time for a formal vote of thanks. Amit is happy to see so many audiences. So I would like to invite him for a formal vote of thanks.
Yeah, good afternoon. Our secretary rightly said, I'm really happy to see there's such large numbers because generally we reach to the vote of thanks. We used to see very less members are there. So thank you. And I would like to say that the vote of thanks is just not like the reading out the sponsor's name. Actually, it is the validation. It is the celebration that we had a good session, good event. So let me make it more interesting. Like being in Dubai, UAE, we all, fascinated and used to see the luxury cars, right? Like Bugatti, Maserati, and many more cars. So what is the one common thing in all these cars? Any idea? One, just don't say that the engine or the tires. Of course, without those, it's not coming to the definition of the car. It's the fuel, the power. Whether it's a Maserati, whether it's the Bugatti or Rolls-Royce, the fuel is the same. So all our events are like those luxury cars. But the members, the participants, the ICAI members, those are the fuel for those events. Without those, that's right. And so thank you so much. And now coming to the speakers, like all those cars are there, but if you want to take the ride in those cars, you need very well-trained drivers. So thank you for all our eminent speakers of today's session for the wonderful rides. And now coming to the sponsors. Like few days back, I was driving somewhere and I was listening to the radio. And there was one radio station. And there was something interesting I listened about the sponsorship. Like before starting some program, it was like जैसे प्यार में होती है relationship, समंदर में चलता है ship और क्रिकेट में होती है partnership. वैसे ही हमारे events के लिए ज़रूरी है sponsorship. So one request I would like to make to our members, like, all these, the lavish events, the venues we are having, it's just not possible, the money which we are receiving from your membership fees. So as our treasurer said, please at least bring the one member, introduce a new member, so it will increase our treasury, so we can have one more events, the big events, the good speakers in future as well. And one request I would like to, whenever you are coming to the events, at least be generous to visit our sponsors' kiosk or stall. Maybe you are not interested, but maybe you can refer. So that will fulfill, their object. So let me read out thank you so much to all our title sponsors, Saudi German Hospital, principal sponsors, Pan Emirates, Tele, Lulu, IFCO, and AGMC. Platinum sponsors, Emirates Chartered Accountants Group, UHY James, WMS and HLB Hamped. FMGC partner Agathia, media partner Khalij Times, institute partner Delhi Private School, banking partner Bank of Baroda. And don't forget to give your feedback in our groups until we see each other in our next event. Thank you so much. Amit Khetan signing off. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And before we formally conclude, let us congratulate His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to become President of the UAE. Thank you very much. See you soon on 21st of May in corporate tax event and 22nd for cricket. Have a nice day. Thank you.